Excellent. Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm freaking out. This is the first time I talk. First off, I'm going to start by saying that I'm not a data engineer. I'm a DevOps. This is me. I'm just your regular nerd guy. I took this picture today, by the way, because I couldn't decide. Basically, a DevOps team lead. I'm the person who people go to when things are broken. MediaLabs is a holding company. We basically acquire through M&A, and we put ads. We have our own ad engine called Assembly. We have a couple, maybe you know some of the apps, maybe you don't. We started with Whisper. Our biggest acquisition after that was Kick. And currently, or more recently, we acquired Warstar, Amino, Imager, which, you know, people probably hear post images at Imager, and Genius.com, which are not present in this slide because I'm not really good at slides. What do we use Druid for? We track basically user engagement. I'm going to say that the heavy users here are mobile developers and SDK developers. Why is that? Because, well, we need to know if our SDK works. And by SDK, I mean the Assembly Ad Exchange SDK that goes into every website, as well as the mobile applications. So every time we roll a new update for a specific unit, or, you know, hey, we need to release a new version or anything, we can test health by doing that. Other uses are, well, we need to make a new change on the application, but want to test if it's going to bring engagement or not, or we're adding new ads. Like we recently added an extra full page ad to one of our applications, and we were checking it to see if it actually drove down engagement. So, you know, some of the metrics are message sends, group created, the basic stuff for any chat application. So I'm going to talk about our journey. It's been quite a journey. This is our before. You might recognize pretty much everything here. We used to use Open Source Kafka and Open Source Druid running on GK. We managed pretty much everything. And by we, I mean the people that came before me, because I inherited this. I had to learn what Druid was, what Kafka was for. So to me, it was quite a journey. It took me a couple months to understand what I was dealing with and how Imply could help me. For visualization, we had Tornado, which honestly, it was falling behind on our needs. And something that I would like to mention is about our producer application. It's called Weaver. I never understood why. We just basically consume all, through an API, we consume all the events from the different units. We aggregate them, we do that data modification, and we push them through Kafka and BigQuery. One thing to mention is I was talking the previous talk, and I was here into the previous talk and mentioned about BigQuery cost, and we had events, many events where we spent $5,000 on a query, on a single query. And we're gonna alert is, hey, who run a query that's kind of huge? So, well, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about how we solve that in the next few slides. Pain points. I'm gonna, aside from what's there, Kafka. This is Kafka from the ancient ages. It's really all unmanageable, I would say. Druid was in 2019, I believe. There was that release. We can only hold like a month worth of data. Tornado will go down fairly often. What else? There was no real ownership at the time. It shifts hands, so there was no people who were actually there in the beginning that could help us fix these issues, meaning the ops took care of it. What else? Oh yeah, configuration management. For the people here who use Terraform, well, we were provisioning those through Salt Cloud, which is kind of, I'm not sure if people are really happy with it. I've used it, but I don't think it's up to the task anymore. And the last thing is ingestion was between 1% and 10% of the events, not all of the events. It was closer to 1%, but you know, some things we needed more visibility. So we're not consuming too much. And still, we have reliability issues. Everything either will crash or we'll get notifications from the data team, hey, we cannot see what's going on. We cannot get the events, or we're missing data, or this is taking too long, which was a fairly common question, concern. So the goals for improvement, DevOps owned this in the past. We wanted to shift this to the data team. They're closer to what's going on. They are closer to the producer. They're closer to what the metrics are, and they actually understand what's being consumed and why. While me and the person who's in the dark room managing servers. Pivot was a big selling point. We needed more filtering features, a richer UI. Tornado was falling behind. Well, it fell behind in times. I'll talk about net positive TCO and 24/7 support, and I think those go hand in hand, because the total cost of ownership is not just how much we're paying for infra. It's also me getting a call. I was in Europe at the time, in 9-hour difference, so I will get a call. Well, it was at 10 p.m. my time. Is, hey, Juan, this is not working, and I will have to jump in and fix it, or maybe on a Saturday. Now, I haven't had to deal with any off hours or weekends since we implemented Druid, Imply, sorry. So the stack we chose, again, same producer, which is Guiver's a Go application. It's pretty fast, doesn't have many issues. Confluent, thank you to Confluent, they really helped us as well with, we met with Confluent and Imply, everyone worked together, and we managed to, get a really good working solution. We went with Imply's newer product, which is GKE Enhance. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And well, Imply for the rest. Why GKE Enhance? There's an ongoing adoption for Terraform that we're doing this time, and not everyone knows how to use it. And at the same time, I wanted to remove myself and my team from having to manage this infrastructure. Now, a couple days ago, we had to increase our cluster from 20 nodes, 20 tier 2 nodes to 22. And I just told the data person responsible, go to the console, the Imply console, yes, change that number from 20 to 22, press apply, and it worked. In 15 minutes, we have the 2 nodes, data was rebalancing. I did the same thing to increase to 25 a few minutes ago, and it's done. And that's my intent. That's what we wanted. Okay, so the journey. I did not begin with this transformation. It was a former coworker, which I make a couple of jokes in there because he made some manual changes, and those manual changes were overridden. And then we found ourselves with a couple of issues that we didn't know where they're coming from. Bilal, my former coworker, is a good friend. He moved to France, so the project switched to my hands. We killed the POC cluster completely. We set up a production cluster. Again, setting up the cluster with GK Enhance was a couple commands from the GCP console. It was super fast, just required what's your domain name, you want to set up the ingress controller, what's the DNS zone, everything is set up properly. It was really, really, hands-off experience. Sometimes I'm a bit afraid because I don't like black boxes, but the engineering team gave me the keys to the kingdom. I managed to see what's underneath the hood, and honestly, is what I would have done. So I was happy with it. So we set up the cluster, and we added Confluent in between, replacing our Kafka cluster, and we completely removed sampling. So we went from 10% give or take to 100% events. That actually worked, but our costs went to 8 times what we were spending before. We got couple bills and my boss complaining why we're spending so much. And actually, it was a configuration issue. Thank you to the Confluent team because they actually told me enable compression on your Kafka producer. And if we actually cut down 80% of the traffic while maintaining the same number of events, which is sitting around 9 billion a day, which is not much. We did run out of space. Again, this was because we did not honor one of the manual modifications, which was using more SSD disks on our node pools. Our producer application, Guiver, written in Go, had some memory leaks. It was consuming a little bit more than it should have. That was fixed. And then we go to the full rollout, which is kind of where we are today. But aside from the stability that everything's working perfectly, and anytime we have a particular issue, it's like, hey, we're having this query that might be running longer, it doesn't happen anymore. We're at sub-second, which is, I think, that's a goal. It doesn't go through my hands anymore. We shift responsibility to the appropriate team. I sleep better at night knowing that I don't have to manage more infrastructure than I already do. Our cost is currently at 3 times what it was at baseline, including licensing costs for both Confluent, Imply, and infrastructure. But we're consuming more than 10 times the event. I would say closer to 80 times the number of events. And we are retaining 1 year of data. Before we had only 1 month worth of data. So I think that's a good trade-off in terms of not only infrastructure and licensing costs, but also in human cost. As I mentioned before, the producer application was fixed by someone who codes better than I do, because I'm not a developer. I'm a really lousy developer. Handoff to the data team. And last but not least, we are training people. By we, I mean Imply, is training people on how to do better querying and how the data team can do better monitoring. Sorry if I went too fast. That's basically all I had to say. I'm extremely happy about the results. This has taken a lot of stress out of my shoulders, and it hasn't passed that stress to anyone else. So it's, again, net positive. If anyone has any questions, I'm here.